Welcome, everyone, to Leading the Way in RVA. The purpose of this podcast is to inspire you through introducing you to influential leaders here in our community, as well as to give you some nice tactical, simple tips that you can take away to support you in becoming a better leader. My name is Casey Long, and I am the host of this podcast, as well as the owner of Fulfilled Coaching and Consulting. I'm excited to take you through a 30-minute journey today. We're going to spend the first half of our time meeting our influential leader, and then the second half of our time, we'll be taking time, the leader and I, to talk about a leadership topic of their choice. And then, as always, at the end, our guest will nominate our future guest. So without further ado, I'm excited to take the opportunity to introduce you to someone that I had the opportunity to just meet once about a year ago, and that's Mark Miller. So Mark Miller serves many roles. He actually has two full-time roles. He is a licensed professional counselor and substance abuse counselor and does a lot of that work at Brightpoint. And then on top of that, he is the Midlothian District Supervisor and the Board Vice Chair for Chesterfield County. Being a lifelong resident of Midlothian, I've seen so much growth and so much change. And when I met Mark, I thought, wow, this is someone I'm so glad is leading the efforts in our neighborhood, in our community. And I was just fascinated by the unique journey he's been on to become the leader of our community. So I'm happy to have him as a guest. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Casey. It's nice to be here.
Yes, so glad you're here. We'd love to just take a little time and hear about your journey and what's led you to be here leading Midlothian.
Well, thank you for the question. Again, it's nice to be here. Appreciate the invitation. Just to kind of give you some background, I was actually born in the area. I was born at Fort Gregg Adams, and my father was in the military at the time. And soon after I was born, my parents moved to the Philadelphia area. I grew up in Philadelphia, or just outside Philadelphia. After graduating from high school, Wissahickon High School, it's just Native Americans living there in Wissahickon. Then I went to the University of Pittsburgh. I got my degree in English education. I taught high school English for a little while, and then learned very quickly. As much as I loved teaching high school English, it wasn't a good fit for me long term. And it was around that time I reconnected with someone I met when I was 16 years old. She was living, my wife of today, 35 years, was living in the Philadelphia area. I moved back to the Philadelphia area and ultimately started a master's degree in psychology at Shippensburg University, graduated from Shippensburg. Just as an aside, it was 123 miles from my house, so I drove back and forth every day for a year. It was BC before cell phones.
My gosh.
It was back and forth. It was 36,000 miles on my 1988 Chevy S10 Blazer. I think it was a 1986 Chevy S10
commitment.
Blazer. It was back and forth, but I really wanted to do it. It just was one of those things where I just felt like I had been waiting my whole life to learn more about psychology.
Oh, wow. So pause right there. Because you said you were teaching and you realized like this isn't the long road for me. And then you took the long road to do something that what you just said was like, there was a lot of passion underneath it. Like it was what you knew you wanted. So tell us a little bit about that. Like what was it that teaching wasn't giving you that this idea of studying psychology was going to give you?
Ironically, I mean, at the time, there was a real glut of high school English teachers. So the only thing I was able to get was long-term sub positions. And long-term subs, for those folks who are long-term subs, I have so much respect for you all because in many ways you're kind of picking up the ball from where the teacher is, but also you're getting to know the students. They don't know you. You got to make kind of create rapport very quickly, and also be able to control the energy of the class.
Yeah.
And you don't know the personalities. You don't know, so it could be really a tough position. So when I moved back to the Philadelphia area, there just wasn't any kind of teaching position that was available for.
So it was taxing being a
yeah.
long-term sub, and it was
Yeah,
not many opportunities.
yeah. So when I started looking at what I would like to do, one of the things that came through is I wanted to go back and get my doctorate in clinical psychology.
Wow.
And so, having an undergraduate degree in English education, I didn't have a lot of the prerequisites necessary to get in directly into a doctoral program. So instead, I applied for a master's degree and got accepted, ironically, into special education initially, and then switched over to psychology while I was at Shippensburg. But all my classes that were under special ed also counted toward the degree. So I didn't really lose any time as far as that was concerned. And then applied for a doctoral program after I graduated. And as an aside, my GPA wasn't terrific as an undergrad. I think it was like 3.1. And getting into even today, to get into a doctoral program in psychology, you're going to have really good grades.
Wow. And what was it
excellent
about
GREs.
psychology that...
It's a great question. I became very curious around really what makes people tick. And I started to learn about the book that really influenced me, if you want to read it, just a terrific book by Dan Millman called A Way of the Peaceful Warrior. And it just really began to open the doorway for me around what it means to be in this world, what it means to live a life in integrity and dependability. So, Dan Millman, Way of the Peaceful Warrior, really had a huge impact on me.
That's wild. One
I
book can have such a big impact.
I think I read it in one sitting. It was just one of those books I felt like I was thirsty my whole life, and he really spoke to me. It's about a individual who was heading to the Olympics, and something happens, and he doesn't make it to the Olympics, and how it changed his life.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm putting that on my list.
Yeah.
Hopefully some of you are too.
Yeah.
All right. So you got your doctorate, and then where'd you go from there?
Well, I got my master's at Shippensburg, and then I was looking for a doctoral program that was going to be focusing on not focusing on just Western psychology. I wanted one that focused on Eastern and Western psychology. And after doing a lot of research, what I found was in San Francisco, the California Institute of Integral Studies. So if you're interested in the program, CIIS.edu, California Institute of Integral Studies in San Francisco. I flew out there initially. We were living in Exton, Pennsylvania, and I just said, this is where I want to go to school. So practically near the corner of Haight and Ashbury, if you know anything about San Francisco, I called my wife and I said, I'm moving to San Francisco. I'm not sure what you're planning on doing, but I'm moving. And she said, when do we leave?
Wow.
And so in our mid-20s, we picked up and moved out to San Francisco with 5 suitcases and a cat, and packed everything on a Mayflower truck, flew out there, and then figured out where we were going to live, and then called Mayflower and told them where to deliver our stuff. So we were out there for altogether 7 years. While out there, my wife was working for a little unknown company called AIG. And we knew early on what was going on at AIG. And so a job opened up. A company actually reached out to Jennifer, my wife, who is in environmental insurance and has her master's degree from Villanova in wastewater treatment. It was what she was going for, interested in being an engineer. She got a call from Colony Insurance in the Richmond area. She flew here, and she called me and said, I don't know what you're planning on doing, but I'm moving to Richmond, Virginia. And I said, when do we leave? So I advanced the candidacy, in my program, moved here, started volunteering at Chesterfield Mental Health, and then actually had to move back to California for my pre-doctoral internship at Contra Costa County Regional Medical Center. And then once I completed, I came here. And so we've been here since '97. And it's been an incredible journey. We didn't want to raise our kids in San Francisco. It was expensive and it didn't feel like a good fit. When we came here, we knew this is where we're going to raise our children. And so our daughter was born in November of '99, our oldest. And then our other daughter was born on Groundhog Day, 02/02/03. So yeah, our oldest was born in November 99.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a theme I'm hearing of like commitment. Like you figure out what you want. It is like, I will go to the lengths to make it happen.
Well, I think it's true about that, but I think it's about in any relationship. My wife was very clear that she wanted this job here.
Yeah.
And so it's about supporting each other. And that's been, I know, has been the theme of our relationship. So as we move through the different phases in our life, we have been able to support each other.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. And then how does one go from being a licensed professional counselor to someone that's a Midlothian district supervisor?
Well, what happened was I worked at Chesterfield Mental Health for 13 years, working with folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I was a services supervisor. Well, I was initially hired as a senior clinician and then promoted to services supervisor. So supervising directly or indirectly, I think 40 case managers.
Oh, wow. That's a big leadership role.
It was, it was a very humbling. I just, what our case managers or service coordinators do for our folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities is there are true superheroes. They really are. And at the same time, I was adjuncting at John Tyler, now Brightpoint Community College.
yeah.
So when a professional counselor position opened up, I was like, oh, man. It really was a tough decision to decide to come to Brightpoint, but made the decision as a professional counselor, and that was 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago. Now, how did I make the transition? A big part of it was around when I got to Brightpoint. One of the things that I noticed was those students that were graduating from the Chesterfield County Public Schools to coming to Brightpoint who are diagnosed with autism could not have the supports. Those supports weren't available to help these students with autism. They were totally ready for college. I mean, they were, but they were having difficulty with executive functioning and just being able to be interacting with fellow students. It was really hard. And so what was occurring was they weren't interacting well, and then they were just dropping out, and that just felt unacceptable to me. So I wanted to look and figure out if I could come up with some sort of a program for them to support them. And I came across a program in Northern Virginia Community College called College Steps. And College Steps is a program specifically designed to help students with autism up and down the East Coast. And so I, myself and my dean of students, we went to see them. They were doing a presentation at the University of Virginia, and then we went up to Northern Virginia Community College to speak with them about the program, and we became convinced we wanted to bring them to Brightpoint.
Oh, so you're starting to do more expansive change leadership work within Brightpoint.
Yes. So with really good support from my associate dean and my dean.
Nice.
And that's what Brightpoint has in common with Chesterfield, is when the leadership hears from their employees, I have an idea, they're willing to listen.
Oh.
And that is what I found at Chesterfield. That's what I find at Brightpoint. I have an idea. What are your thoughts? And so they were like, run with it. Let's see if we can figure this out. The problem was the funding source. So I went to Chesterfield, and unfortunately, they didn't feel that they had the money. So then I went to the Department of Aging and Rehab Services. They felt, well, we could do the program ourselves. And the challenge with that was that when we did that, once we got them involved, it became they couldn't move fast enough. By the time we got them involved, it was already too late because a semester's only 15 weeks. Some semesters are only 7 weeks.
Yeah.
So it was just too fast to get them involved. We went to the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services, DBHDS, and thought we got creative and see if we could create what was considered a non-center-based waiver program or a non-center-based day program and being billing Medicaid waiver, and they wouldn't approve it. And then from there, we went back to Chesterfield, and they didn't have the money.
So this is where you started getting involved in more of that. Okay,
So,
that
so
makes
finally,
sense.
what I said was, okay, the only way I'm going to find this funding is I'm going to need to run for office.
And here you are.
And here we are. So
Here we
College
are.
Steps has been here for now 2 years, and my boss is convinced that I am the most stubborn person on this earth, in a good way.
Well, that's the theme I
yeah.
heard is commitment and
That's
drive
right.
to accomplish. And
That's
then
right.
the other thing I'm hearing about your journey is like it started off impacting the classroom, and then it moved to your patients, and then it moved to like this broader Brightpoint initiative, and now
That's
it's scaled out to Chesterfield County. So it's
Exactly.
like you continue to expand
Right.
your leadership. So on that note, what's a leadership topic we should dive into today?
It's a great question. I do want to speak to, it's really important, and I learned this very quickly, is it's not about me. It'll never be about me. I remember when I was elected and I was kind of settling in. The first 3 months was really difficult. If I had a nickel for every time someone said, "So, Mark, how does it feel to be drinking out of the fire hose?" If I had a nickel for every time, but the truth is, it's extremely overwhelming.
I can't imagine.
And so, in a moment of absolute frustration, I called a mentor, a friend of mine out in California, and I said to him, "What do I do? I don't even know if I can do this." And he said, "Mark, let me tell you something. There's only 2 questions you need to ask yourself. Can you do it joyfully, and can you do it skillfully? If you can do it joyfully and you can do it skillfully, you got a shot at doing a good job." And when I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I think I could do that. I think I can do it joyfully. I think I can do it skillfully. But it really comes down to integrity and dependability. Those 4 things for me is my when I start my day. Those are the things that I remind myself.
Your values.
Yeah.
So integrity, dependability, joyfully and skillfully.
Yes, and that's what it comes down to. And I think that's true for any leader. That a leader needs to be in integrity. They need to be dependable. And can they do it in a way that's really coming from their heart, and maybe even a little piece of playfulness, to do it joyfully, without feeling as if I've taken on or any some sort of a burden. It's really not helpful to go through life as if you're somehow a victim.
No.
It's just. No, it's just not going to work for me. So to do it joyfully, and then to learn from my mistakes when I make them, and do it skillfully. So it's like, okay, I learned something here. How can I do it better?
Yeah, that's a big theme I hear. So I do a lot of leadership coaching, and oftentimes my clients are leaders that are taking on broader scope, right? So they had succeeded in their role, like you had succeeded at Brightpoint, and then you felt called to do more. And then they got promoted or got asked or stepped into a bigger scope of work. And they are dealing with that anxiety of like, whoa, this is too much. So it sounds like what really grounded you was getting clear on your values and lining up to them every day. What other advice would you have for someone that has stepped into something that maybe their imposter syndrome's getting the best of them and they're saying, oh my gosh, I got too far in?
I am very, very lucky because I made a really, really good choice for who was going to be my wife.
Yes.
I really did. We have two daughters, and I've said to our daughters that the most important decision you will ever make in your life, and there is no second, the most important decision is not who you're going to marry. It is who you're going to have children with. That is by far the most important decision. And am so lucky. I have such a supportive wife who at times just kind of holds me together, and I'm just so grateful for who she is. I'm lucky. I met her at a very young age, at 17. We didn't start dating until after we had both graduated from college, but we stayed in touch. Definitely friends before the relationship became so much more. Who you are in relationship with is just key to doing the
Yes,
job.
makes me emotional. I am
Yeah.
fortunate enough to be married to my best friend, and
Yeah.
it sounds like what I'm support, but somewhat it sounds like what I'm hearing is making sure you have the right support system around you, making sure that you have a sounding board or somebody
Yes.
that you can connect with.
Right.
Yeah.
No question about it. Very blessed.
Ah, I love that. So, stepping into a bigger role, know your values, know what you stand for, remind yourself of that. Be surrounded by those that can support you. One other thing I want to come back to, because it was profound, is leadership's not about you, right? It's about others. Tell us more about your perspective on that.
I have noticed that with some leaders, now, for full disclosure, I am an introvert in the purest form. I mean, when you look at any psychological eval, like an MMPI or something like that, you're going to find that, I mean, I bury the needle on introvert. By that I mean that I'm not looking for attention. So me running for office is really difficult. I am not a self-promoter, which may be ultimately my undoing, because again, it's not about me. So when I'm always looking for what the vision is, and if we have a shared vision. So when I am whenever we're doing anything, if it's at Brightpoint or at Chesterfield, do we have a shared vision? Are we looking at all of us kind of going in the right direction? And I don't even know how that's defined, but just noticing the dynamics in the room. And everyone has something to offer. I don't have a monopoly on wisdom. So even when we have meetings and there's people sitting in the room, I'm always going around the table to identify if someone's been sitting quietly. They're there for a reason. So I want to know their input. I want to know what they're thinking about. And I have found that to be necessary, if not straight out integral, to helping us on our path. So it for me, I spend a lot. I'm trained as a psychologist, right? So I spend a lot of time listening. I want to hear what people are thinking, and if it feels like it's something that doesn't quite fit for me, I'm going to offer it. I kind of see it as, we're all on a boat. We're all going a specific direction. But if I'm noticing, or if anyone else is noticing that we may be off course, let's work together to identify what may have caused it, and maybe we should be off course. Who knows? Maybe we're now moving toward a different vision. But at least we're communicating and talking with each other.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you don't have all the answers, and you know that you don't have all the answers, and you are also an introvert, which I love that you share that, because I think so often people think like, I have to be an extrovert to be a great leader, and that's not the case. So you use that introversion and the diversity of thought and your background to really like get all of the different opinions about where we need to go, getting aligned on that. And then are we headed there? Or are we off course? And what I also love what you said is, hey, we're off course. Like, do we keep going off course, or do we need to get back on course? That flexibility, that agility, which is huge.
Yeah. I mean, one of the beautiful things about being in elected office, as opposed to working for a company, is that I can't get fired. Now, true, my constituents who really are the bosses. I mean, I wake up every morning and I know I have 80,000 bosses. And what's so important though is I have 80,000 bosses that know that I work for them. I work for you, and as a result, I always keep that in my mind. But at the same time, I can say things that maybe other people don't feel comfortable saying. So I can call out the 500-pound gorilla in the room. It's like, can we talk about this? Because I'm not sure anybody is willing to bring that up as to what it is.
You're willing to have the difficult conversation.
Yeah. And can it be done in a way that is, again, skillfully and joyfully, mindfully, in integrity, dependable? I mean, all those things are going to fall into that place. Is that if I'm not living what I'm supposed to be living, am I not, am I living my life in integrity, then it makes space for other people to feel more comfortable with what's going on with them. Marianne Williamson has a great quote. I'm about to butcher it, but it's essentially is we're not afraid of our darkness. What we're afraid of is our light. And when we have that light, then it provides an opportunity for other people to step into their own light.
Yes.
And that's really what it's about. Is it's not our darkness that we're afraid of. It's our light.
Our power,
what are
our
we
light.
capable of doing? That is where I have found is I don't let fear or stepping out of my comfort zone get in the way. I learned somewhere along the line that nobody gets in my way, including me. And I'm usually the one. It's not other people. It's me. I get in the way of myself. And I think that that's true, perhaps for other people, to step out of your comfort zone and to be able to say, okay, it's time for me to grow.
Yes. Oh my goodness. You've shared so many nuggets in this conversation, just a lot of different themes. I think some of the ones that I just love the most is hearing how one book really helped you get clear on where you wanted to go. Commitment, but also commitment to those around you. So you're committed to your goals, but you're also flexible and going to Richmond with your wife to meet her goals, and you have your vision, but then you're also wanting to hear everybody else's input on that. And you're flexible and flexing if where you're headed isn't right towards the vision, but it might be a better path. Right. And then hearing about being an introverted leader and how you've navigated that, and then how you've just grounded yourself in your values as you've expanded. And I've got to say, for somebody that has 80,000 bosses and 2 full-time jobs, you come across very cool, calm, and collected.
Thank you. Thank you. It's not easy, and it's easy to talk to you, so thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you for your service for my beloved Midlothian and Chesterfield County, and I look forward to us staying in touch. And so I do want to take a moment and hear from Mark. I'm super curious. Curious who you see as some folks here in the greater Richmond area that you see leading the way.
Yeah. A couple of folks, certainly Karen Webb, who is the current president of the Chamber of Commerce. Karen is new and she's settling in so wonderfully.
Is this the Chesterfield Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, the Chesterfield Chamber of Commerce. Great. So I have been just so awed by how she has settled into the position and really making it her own. It's really, and the same thing I'll say about Ann Miller, who is no relation, who is the new president of the Midlothian Business Alliance.
Yes, I was supposed to come, and then it snowed.
Yes,
yes, and then it got rescheduled, and I couldn't come.
It did, yeah. It was. It was a crazy morning with the snow.
It was a crazy morning. I was getting dressed to go.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So Anne is terrific, and she was joking around. She was saying that here I am. I'm new to the Midlothian Business Alliance, and then I had to make this decision to actually postpone it for a week. It was. I was like, I didn't want to be in your shoes at that moment to make that decision, but it was the right decision. When it comes right down to it, people will ask me what's my priorities, and my priority, beside clean water, which has been a big,
yes,
is also public safety. And she erred on the side of public safety, and that says a lot about who she is.
Absolutely. Well, great. Well, thank you. Well, we hope to have them as future guests on the
Yeah,
show.
that'd be great.
And thank you once again for your service and for taking time out of your 2 full-time jobs and 80,000 bosses to be here with us
More than
today.
happy to be here. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark.